Hello, Paul Nashawaty here from Enterprise Strategy Group. I'm joined by Melinda and John, and we're here to talk about KubeCon and CloudNativeCon North America. This is the CNCF's flagship conference for adopting technologists for open source and cloud native communities across the industry. But when we talked about the keynote and we talked about the themes of the event, Gen AI, modernization, containerization, sustainability, security, edge computing, and platform engineering were really the key themes that the organizations that we're talking about throughout the entire event. So, Melinda, I'd like to transition over to you. And what are your thoughts about cybersecurity?
Yeah, and I just will play on that theme of Gen AI. It was a really big theme for the keynotes. They highlighted how cloud native is really the scaffolding of the AI movement. All the players are building on or helped by Kubernetes, OpenAI, Hugging Face, NVIDIA. They're all built on Kubernetes. And the key theme overall is how do you apply more automation to move faster? And the cybersecurity implication that's exciting is how do you use AI to get the right answers without needing as much time and helping with that efficiency. The show in general is impressed with the customers and the community. So you have vendors with developers working on open source projects and contributing. And then you have end users who are using Kubernetes and cloud native tools and technologies like Boeing, Discover, these huge brands, Volvo, Spotify, BlackRock. There's an emphasis on how you can build security into the infrastructure. And that's really what's exciting to me is you can build these clusters, they're auto updated, they're auto scaling, they're all patching without the developers having to do things. They're enabling distributed tracing and services. And that is really important for building security and reliability into everything that you do, combining controls and policies to have that control while enabling scale. And I also wanted to mention software supply chain security. Of course, this is a big part of the community effort. So they had some executive changes with OpenSSF. They have OSS experts, but they're really looking for security people, right? They have operations people, they have software developers, but they really want security people more involved. So security teams, everybody get more involved and track these projects. They also want to partner with regulators. So they're meeting with the White House, they're meeting with CISA and NIST, all these really important groups to make sure that software supply chains are and the software and all of the components, open source and the software components, are secure. So, a lot of great announcements to help developers develop safe and secure.
Yeah, from an observability standpoint, there were two main stories at the show. The first was simply open telemetry, and that standard, which allows for a common tooling base for instrumenting cloud native applications so that the telemetry data, it comes out in a standard format. Since most of our clients use 10, 12, 15 different observability tools in order to get a view of the full stack, having a standard way of delivering that data for all of the various flavors of things will solve a major problem. So that was a big story. The second big story is around eBPF and some of the things, the extended Berkeley packet filtering, the ability to tap into the Linux kernel to get telemetry data about your application. I saw perhaps 30 different applications of eBPF being applied to things like cost management, being able to look at CPU usage time, being able to take that information, pairing it up with publicly available energy and carbon output from power companies to be able to get a more accurate view of what is the environmental footprint, what's the electric usage, what's the carbon footprint of my specific microservice. So, getting that level of granularity was pretty amazing. And then I saw some additional work with Kepler, which is based on eBPF, which specifically collects energy and information that is important for green software initiatives. So we got this brand new bit of visibility that should make observability much more powerful, much more easy to use, and give a much more complete view, not just of application and microservices performance, but of impact of those activities. So I came away from the show really excited about, hey, we've actually got the tools to solve more or less existential problems, and it's great to see that software is able to do that. Software developers can make a massive impact on the environmental footprint, and so again, just super happy about what I saw, and I definitely am looking forward to the future in the CNCF.
Thanks, Sean. That was really insightful. When we talk about observability, we talk about the context of how developers and platform engineering is working, right? When we look at the modernization effort, we see that there was improvements at this event all throughout the CI/CD pipeline, right? From build to release to operations, day 0, day 1, day 2. We saw that the theme was heavily focused around platform engineering. There wasn't a vendor out there that wasn't talking about platform engineering and how developers and DevOps can work better together with the platform engineering teams to make it all work.
I love how it ties into cybersecurity too, because when you can tie that all in together and operationalize these things, you get more of that efficiency, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think what was once said by an analyst that said, if you go slower, you actually go faster. So that's kind of the approach of looking at security. So I think you're key there, Melinda, with that. But the key themes that they really focused on, my takeaway was around that migration and modernization efforts. We were seeing that in our own research. We see that 88% of production applications, new production applications, are running on containerization and microservices. While we also don't want to forget the context around edge computing, because that was a key area of focus as well. Portability, application portability was very key. And then the other factor is Gen AI and AI, right? We saw that Gen AI was touched on everything, right? But specifically with our research, we're seeing from a developer perspective, 51% of respondents indicate that they're using Gen AI to generate code, and 45% of respondents are using that Gen AI to improve code. And I have to also bring up WebAssembly, because WebAssembly is kind of a key focus for that future state of where organizations are going. And it's not surprising, as we see 39% of respondents are using WebAssembly today in their organizations for that cloud native approach. So lots to talk about here, lots to think about. We only touched on some of the highlights from the event, and there's definitely a lot more to consider and talk about. So reach out to us here or talk to us on social, and we'll continue the conversation and discussion. And with that, thank you and have a great day.